role play JJ to get us started here.
All right, we are going live in 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Zyori Podcast. We're here with episode number 88. It is February 10th, 2016, about 4:30 p.m. here on the Eastern Coast. This marks an exciting day as it is the two-thirds point in Captain's Draft. Tomorrow, Maudie and I are getting on some airplanes, heading over to Phoenix, and we're going to go see our friends over on the other coast and set up our casting studio for Moonduck TV, and we're going to cast the playoffs for Captain's Draft 3.0. So surely we're going to talk about that a little bit. It's been a while since I've done a podcast, so we're going to freeform and do whatever the hell we want, Maud. The Super Bowl was just very recently as well. We can talk about that. It was just 3 or 4 days ago. But we've been trying to do this podcast for what seems like an eternity.
A
at this
year,
point.
probably.
There have been so many times where we've been at events together. I'm like, hey, we're doing a podcast soon. And you're like, yeah, let's do it. And then we get distracted and it doesn't happen. We've scheduled and then rescheduled 3 or 4 times. So
I want to make it known that I'm not like avoiding you actively. Like I actually want to do this, but it just hasn't worked out for some reason. We've been so close to actually doing it, and I'm like, oh shit, I forgot I had to do X, Y, or Z. So
yeah,
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here because I want to talk about Star Trek a little bit as well. I feel like for whatever reason, the sample of people I've brought on the show for the most part have not been Star Trek fans, and every time I've talked about it and gone to nerd out, it's been a one-sided experience to say the least. So I'm excited about that. Captain's Draft, though, you just finished up today. DC, unfortunately, got kind of rolled again.
Yeah, they got stomped.
I hope they do better in the playoffs because I don't want to see Shannon cry in person.
Yeah, I mean, they probably will. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they're trying out people. So I think that's a big issue because they're like never with the same team for more than like 2 days or something like that.
Yeah, it's true.
And they lost every series, but they had a very tough group, to be fair. Virtus Pro Alliance and Empire. God, that is a difficult group. That's an impossible group, actually.
Yeah. No, it really is. And Alliance has played insane. I mean, the people that were... There were a lot of jokes about, like, oh, you buff their heroes, Alliance will be good. But it's not just their heroes that they're classically good with that is making them look strong. It's just the way they're moving, the coordination. Like, Bulldog playing Warlock 2 games in a row and absolutely dominating. I mean, that's not an Alliance standard by any means. And they're still really...
It's new heroes.
Strong.
Yeah, it's not... Like you mentioned, it's a little bit of both. You think you have the fact that all of their heroes got buffed, and if they're playing a Captain's Mode game, certainly they'll be fine. But not every hero is going to be in Captain's Draft, so they have to make do. And the heroes they've played with in Captain's Draft, like you talked about the Warlock, they've done S4 Tiny, which I think is a little bit different than what they're used to. You know, if they play with Tiny, it's usually with Loda, and they've just crushed it. So Alliance they're back, quote unquote. I think they 2-0 every game. They did. That's actually super impressive. It's not even just like they won every series. They 2-0'd. Unbeaten. Man. That's amazing.
It's insane. And they've picked some diversity lineups like you talked about. That's one of the things I like about Captain's Draft. I feel like it really shows teams that are adaptable and just have good synergy together playing different things. It really shows in Captain's Draft, whereas Digital Chaos, like you said, they've been having roster issues, and Captain's Draft seems like it seems like they look better in Captain's Mode than they do in Captain's Draft.
Right.
And Alliance, I would say, looks similarly good across both. So it's interesting to observe that.
I think DC, they struggle with drafts a lot of the time. There's a lot of issues with their drafting. Last night they played up against Archon in a best of 5 series, and they won. But the first game was one of the worst drafts I've ever seen. I think it was really bad. It was just, man.
That's
it
harsh.
Wasn't good.
Worst draft you've ever seen. You've cast a lot.
I have cast. It wasn't the worst draft I've ever seen, but it was not good to say the very least. Okay. I mean, they got crushed in every sense of the word, and they probably should have gotten crushed further. But still, it's just like they need to focus on either have a better drafter or just be a team and stop trying people out. But like. Get somebody that you're comfortable with and actually like do shit. I don't know, man. Fuck.
No, I know what you mean. I like that though. It's just a funny way to put it. Just be a team. God damn it. But a lot of the time when you're casting them, they look indecisive and it doesn't feel like a team as much as just 5 people that are individually very skilled at Dota. Yeah, there's a fundamental difference there.
Yeah, I think they just make too many mistakes, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. It's really just they need to get together and figure some stuff out. Yeah. But that's fine. I mean, they'll get I want them to be good because I want their American team to be good. But, people are like, well, Complexity could be that team or Archon could be that team. I don't want to shit on Archon because I think that's unfair. But I don't think Archon's current lineup has the ability to go very far.
Well, talk about Shanghai instability. I mean, there's just that roster is constantly changing. I feel like as soon as I know one roster, there's stand-ins or there's something else going on, and it's tough. But the other group was looking equally good for EG. They went 3-0 as well. They didn't lose a
did
series.
they? I thought they lost. I thought they lost the series. They lost a game.
They lost 2 games. They were
Yes, you're
overall
right.
6-2, but they went 3-0 overall in their series. So both them and Alliance are kind of the top 2 seeds coming in here, and then Vega got second in the other Group Hippo.
And Virtus Pro is Empire is the second place team in Group Horse. So EG's playing against Empire. I think that's even better. If EG were playing against Virtus Pro, that'd be bad because Virtus Pro is notoriously good against EG, especially against RTZ. For some reason, RTZ always has trouble with that team. So I think they're probably happier going up against Empire, and I'm sure they'll probably feel more comfortable. And I imagine EG gets through Empire rather easily to the winners bracket final.
Yeah. Like for some reason I want to say Virtus Pro is just a team that doesn't get intimidated. And I feel like that implies like the other teams like Alliance are intimidated by EG, and I don't really think that's the case, but VP is a team that is very good at knowing the play style that they like and forcing their opponents to play that play style. Like you're going to be fighting pretty early. There are going to be ganks coming your midway pretty early on in those kind of games for the most part.
And that's similar to what we see from a lot of the South American teams. So a lot of the American teams get it, twofold, both Europe and Russia and CIS, and then back in South America because Infamous and Elite Wolves also play that way. So
yeah. And I think EG is also pretty good at getting teams to kind of play on their terms. They take control of the map and they decide when to fight, not the other way around. And when they meet up against Virtus Pro, it's just a tough nut to crack. So that's a fun matchup, though. Hopefully they get to square off in the bracket because I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I imagine Virtus Pro can have a pretty good run, and maybe EG loses and they go down the losers bracket and they'll play up against Virtus Pro.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll have to wait and see, but it's been a pretty good tournament so far. I think a lot of people at the beginning were like, this doesn't feel like normal captain's draft. It's not as fun. There's not as many good picks.
Yeah.
But that's changed, I think, over the course of the tournament so far. I think a lot of people have.
Oh, yeah.
I think people have realized that this is actually a pretty good tournament.
And I think everybody was happy to finally see an Arc Warden game. That's something we were all, fingers crossed, looking forward to. And it was EG of all teams that played it, and they won with it, which is really cool. It's one thing when you see a team do a crazy hero or one you don't see that often and they lose. It's like, well, anybody could have done that. But when they win with it and make it seem good, it's people riled up, man. That's awesome. But hopefully Mama's
see
Boys.
The Arc Warden game.
Yeah, I actually haven't. I didn't watch all of it either. I saw a couple highlights, but I know he went for some Rapier, Necrobook, Midas, just super farm. Just God, how do you beat this kind of style? Out of control. I think there were Rapiers plural.
I'm gonna check Noob from UA because God knows he probably has it.
That's yep. You're probably spot on with that. Hopefully Mama's Boys is in good shape. They had a bunch of stand-ins before, and Bambo officially has left the team, though I'm not sure what that means.
I just saw something. Before. Somebody posted this in the captain's draft. I think it was an admin. And somebody asked, will Mama's Boys still play as they cancel their petition in every other cup? And then No Use said 2-0 for their opponents, which I think means that Mama's Boys is going to give a walkover win to
Virtus Pro.
Virtus Pro.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm simultaneously sad and happy. I'm happy that Virtus Pro will live on in the tournament, so we get to see them play. Though I'm sad we don't get to see them play an opening round.
Yeah, that's a best of 3 that we lose. That's more. That's more
sucks.
Casting for us that just doesn't happen. Essentially.
Well, Maut, that's time for more board games. Come on, dude. Board games are going to be awesome.
Yeah, that's a good point.
No,
I can't wait, honestly.
Dude, it's going to be sick. I really am looking forward to this.
I want to play Dota because I don't get to play it a lot. Also,
it's not a LAN. It's kind of like a caster LAN. Like the teams aren't.
It's a hub.
It's a hub. Yeah, there you go. That's the word for it. It's a caster hub. First, it's our studio hub. Hub makes it sound like it's not a studio, though. It's just like, hey, this hub. Just a bunch of people chipping in. It's a little more than that. It's Shannon's living room. Come on, it's the Moonduck Studio. All in, baby.
Do you know what we're staying, by the way?
A hotel, yeah. There's a hotel.
Oh, okay, I thought we were gonna stay at the actual.
Well, some people are. We have some hotel rooms. We did a little consensus, like who, I volunteered to just crash wherever, air mattress on the floor. Like I think it's fun. I like the slumber party atmosphere. I think Slacks is gonna crash on the floor. He said he didn't care.
I think a lot of us are down with that as well. But I might want to stay 1 or 2 nights in the hotel room just because I might need.
I think we've got 2 hotel rooms, and then it's not that many people. It's like, what is it, 6 or 7 people?
Purge is definitely going to stay in a hotel room.
Yeah,
I feel
including
like.
Suns fan, but obviously he's got a bedroom there, and then he has a guest room, so it should be pretty good. I think it's going to be fun.
All right, so let's just count who we have. So Grant's not going to be there until Saturday, which means that 2 days we have without him. We have Purge, we have me, we have you, we have Slacks, we have JJ, who's already got the guest room, I think. We have Shannon and Nikki, who are staying obviously in their own room. Is that it? I think that's it.
Yeah.
All right, well, plenty of people are going to be able to use the hotel room then. Easy.
Yeah.
That's
plenty
fine.
of space.
Right.
Grant might have his own room. No roomie. You and Grant rooming it up?
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll see how
That
it
might be
goes. Who knows? The floor might get old after a day or two,
Right.
So maybe after 2 days in, all of a sudden, I'm ready to take that bed. Let's do this thing. But I'm really excited. It's cool. It's just a completely different vibe when you're all in the same space and you're casting together, and you don't have to use headphones or any of that stuff. You can read each other's body language. There's a whole other
nice.
feeling to it. It's really nice. It's good. And of course, Maut, we've got some fun content planned that I can't spoil, but my God, the samples are looking pretty prime, and I'm very I'm excited to see the audience reaction to some of the ideas we've got going on.
Let's just say if you've enjoyed us, if you've enjoyed Slacks, if you've enjoyed Shannon, you're going to enjoy us even further as we have this going on. So
yeah,
that's all I can really say without spoiling anything. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be fun. I'm just really excited because, like I said, I don't get to play a lot of Dota, especially with a lot of people. So I'm going to bring a laptop, and hopefully other people have computers they can use.
Yeah, I'm bringing a laptop. We should have quite a few devices. I think there won't be a shortage for sure.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be good. I'm so glad that we have a studio where we can really just control what we do and do what we want. And, we have it spaced out pretty well. That's the benefit of the players not being there, is we don't have to jam it into these crazy long days. I think the normal schedule was 2 best-of-3s every day, and then the best-of-5 finals on the last day. Now there'll be a day where it's only 1 best-of-3. So we'll have a lot of time to just, film stuff or do fun streams, play board games or other games, and that's going to be fun. I'm excited.
So we have, obviously, the Castro Hub coming for you guys. You know what to expect. If you want to watch the VODs from the actual tournament that have been going on, you can check out our Moondog TV YouTube channel. Other than that, that's Captain's Draft in a nutshell, and we're going to see how fun it is when we actually get there. So, woo, indeed.
Yep. So, Maut, Super Bowl, let's talk about it, man. Did you watch the whole Super Bowl?
I did.
Because you're a football guy. You actually you
like
follow
football.
the Bills
Yes.
a lot. Like
I do.
Did you say you watch all their plays? Is that your thing?
I try to watch every game for the Bills, and then I will sometimes, if the game is good and if we win, I'll try to watch the highlights. Or if it's really good, I will download a copy of the game and watch it again.
Jeez.
And this time, I sometimes try to download the game with different footage, like the all-22 footage, which is pretty much just like you can see every player. It's like an above view sometimes. They have different views for the game.
Okay.
I'm a pretty big football fan. I'd say I'm about as big of a football fan as I am a Dota 2 fan, and hockey right around there as well. So
Really? Okay. So you're just a sports guy in general. You like
I like sports a lot.
the competitive good stuff. Okay.
I
So
do.
I mean, I've actually watched a fair bit of football. My dad's a big Giants fan. Lived near Philadelphia my whole life. Big sports city. There's basically a team for everything: hockey, basketball, football, soccer, you name it. So Eagles, absolutely huge. I like Super Bowls. They're okay. They're fun. It's an excuse to gorge on pizza, wings, and soda.
Food,
and feel
great.
absolutely okay about it because it's the American way, and literally everyone else is doing it. And I did that.
Yep.
I had a pineapple pizza and 12 wings and a liter of Mountain Dew, and
That's
I laid
so good
down
right now.
in a food coma and kind of wanted to die.
Sounds so good right now. You have no idea. That's what I'm also waiting for the Castro Hub. It's food, but
the food. Oh, we're gonna have there's a fun twist with the food, and I'm not even sure if this is really new. I just got the email this morning. I don't know if I told you yet, Maut. We have a food sponsor. I'll tease it that way.
Really?
So we can look forward to that. There'll be a couple of good sellout segments that I think everyone.
Hey man,
will enjoy,
the sponsors are coming.
us.
The sponsors are coming out of the woodwork finally. I feel like people are actually realizing that we get a ton of viewers for our stuff now. So
Yeah.
that's good. I'm glad.
No, it's really good. I mean, the first part of Captain's Draft was notably a little bit low in viewership. I think 10K is a pretty good base of just like, yeah, we're going to get that easy. And there were a lot of days where we were in that like 5 to 10K range kind of hovering.
Right.
And it's nice to see that now we're in the next phase with some of the bigger teams that, okay, these are the Dota fans that we remember. Like, I think people might have been a little bit burned out from all the other content that was going on. And then
boom.
Now we're in the good stuff. It's round robin and people are finally hyped. So fuck
yeah, we had some very good viewership. The first couple of days, I think, of the group stages, it was actually as soon as the group stages hit, we just got a ton of viewership.
Yep.
That's pretty much it. But
the EG effect is part of it. EG and Alliance, man, those teams really, they have just such loyal followers. People see those names and they just say, I gotta see this team, you know. And I will say it's nice to see teams being a little more like thoughtful about what tournaments they accept. Where there was this period, or which tournaments I should say, there was that period of time where prize pools were increasing and teams were just grinding everything and playing in every tournament. And now it's a little bit more, you know, it adds to that effect because these hardcore fans don't get to see EG play every day. Now it's like, oh shit, EG's playing? Let's see what's going on. So it's kind of cool from a tournament perspective. It incentivizes us to do more and find ways to make sure the teams get what they need. But I like it. I'm glad. I think that's good overall.
I want to talk a little bit about fans just for a second, and then I want to go back to the Super Bowl because I want to talk about that as well.
Yeah.
It's weird because I thought OG was gonna do this, and then eventually they didn't come through, and I'm sort of happy, but I'm also a little bit sad because I like OG a lot. But for some reason, OG fans hate me with a passion. Almost every single time there's a person on Reddit. I don't know, but every single time there's a person on Reddit that's calling me out for my cast, and they will always be an OG fan, and I have no idea why that is the case. I think it's most of the Europeans that dislike me because I think they have a bad view of me, considering I don't do that much European Dota as much as I used to. And they just, maybe when I was a worse caster, they didn't like me.
Because you're an NA biased caster, so look, fuck Maut. He doesn't.
No, I'm not even. I'm not even that biased. And I think people they just want to put that on me and just kind of show that I am a biased caster. But it's just
weird that it's like, if it was all EU teams or mostly EU fans, I would get it. But it's weird that it's centered around just one team in particular. That it's
right.
Like, I got OG flair. Fuck Maut.
There's like an occasional person that's an Alliance or a secret fan that'll dislike me, but it's not nearly as much as OG. Yeah, it's like 4 or 5 OG people. I have no idea why. I honestly have no idea why, but that's going to be the end of my spiel, and I kind of want to talk about the Super Bowl, but if you have anything else, you can go ahead.
Yeah, no, fuck those people, man. I like OG, but, you know, whatever.
Yeah, the people that actively go on Reddit and are like, this guy sucks, or fuck this guy, makes me super mad, but whatever.
I don't get mad anymore. Reddit is its own beast. You know, I see the way people talk about the real sportscasters, and that makes me feel a little bit better about myself.
Yeah,
agreed. They get flamed way harder than we do. And to be fair, it's kind of amazing sometimes the stupid things they say, and they're like actually trained professionals.
Yeah, in the
and to some degree, we're all just amateurs that wanted to do this for fun and have been taking it seriously. You know, it's way different. The expectations for those people way higher. And some of the time, I think, what are you doing? You know.
Yeah, that segues nicely into the Super Bowl. There's the commentators for the Super Bowl were 2 guys. One of them was named Jim Nance. He's the play-by-play guy. Mm-hmm. And the other was Phil Simms, who was a former Super Bowl winning quarterback for the Giants way back in the day.
Why do you air quote it? What do you mean? Did
they won the Super Bowl against the Bills. That was the notorious game where wide right happened. I'm not sure if you know what that is, but it's way back in the day.
What year was it? Like
it was 1990. So we weren't really.
I was a sprout, man. I missed that.
We were very young. So what happened was the Bills made it to the Super Bowl. They were playing against the team. Phil Simms was on the team, and he was the starting quarterback, but he was injured. And the Bills were winning the game up until all we had to do was make a field goal to win the game. With the clock running out. And, of course, it was from 40 yards out, and Scott Norwood, our kicker, misses the field goal wide to the right, and will forever be known as wild right. But I said that in air quotes because Phil Simms didn't play. It was
he was on the winning team, but he wasn't playing.
But he didn't actually play in the Super Bowl. And I don't think he didn't win another Super Bowl for the rest of his career.
That sucks.
And this guy, Phil Simms, is notorious for being a terrible commentator. And you have to wonder, how do these people get the Super Bowl, the biggest sporting event, whether esports or otherwise, in the world?
What do you think about Aikman?
I like Aikman. I think he's pretty good, but he's always very Dallas oriented because, of course, he's a Dallas Cowboy. But still, but so Phil Simms just has some terrible quotes, and he uses the term "talked about." Like, well, we talked about this. He'll say that at least 30 times a game. So much so that there's a Phil Simms quotes Twitter account that just has some of his, the best of the best on there.
I've actually seen that. People have linked to me some of the Phil Simms.
It might have been me. I've talked about this before.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know a lot of the sports commentators' names. Like, I don't follow sports enough to really care about. It's just different in sports. Like, I feel like I tune it out a lot more than I do when I'm watching esports stuff, regardless of if it's Dota or StarCraft or Counter-Strike.
Right.
Like, I listen to the commentary a lot more and really think about what they're saying. When I'm watching football or soccer or hockey, it's like, yeah, I'm more talking to somebody else. I have the volume down.
Yeah.
I'm mostly just watching the game more than listening.
Well, and the thing is too is that you don't really need to listen to sports commentators. I often feel like they're, and the person that made that Reddit thread that was like, man, our esports commentators are amazing compared to real sports commentators. And I agree completely. There's like one or two really good football commentators in my opinion, and everybody else just sucks ass. They're just not good.
Well,
like Phil Sims included.
It's funny and also kind of irks me in an ironic way when people say we need to be more professional. When that professionalism word gets thrown around, it's like,
I
guys,
hate
listen,
that word.
I recognize we don't want to be like we want to be taken kind of seriously, but part of the charm and what makes this awesome is that we are not bound by the FCC, that we can say fuck and cunt whenever we want, and we can just kind of do things that feel natural. We don't have to do super sellout shit like you think. You know, what we do is super sellouty. Did you watch the Super Bowl? Every commercial break, it's brought to you by Jeep. Hyundai did this. Somebody did that. It's just everything is branded in a ridiculous way.
I think a lot of people just take for granted how we are as an organization, or as not an organization, as a sport, an esport.
Yeah,
like we could be so much worse than what's going on right now. Honestly, like,
and it'll
people
shift
need
that
to really
way
realize
a little
that.
bit, but it's what is it that saying that it's not about the end, it's about the journey, or that shit. It's like it's gonna happen over time. Let's enjoy this while we've got it. Let's enjoy that there's still some grassroots people here, and even people like Thorin. You know, some people love him, some people hate him, but at least he's interesting and somewhat honest, if not a bit sensationalist sometimes. You don't get a lot of that in real sports. You watch ESPN, and I would say, like, what, 2/3 of the time on that channel, it's just some buffoon wearing a nice jacket that's just jabbering on about some bullshit.
You know what it is, man? Everybody's jerking each other off on ESPN, I feel like.
Yeah.
In almost every situation.
It's an old boys club, I feel.
Not that we don't do that every now and then. I mean, we certainly do. We have our own circle jerk moments.
Pretty bad about that.
But yeah, ESPN, real sports. And going back to Thorin, I mean, that guy's kind of a jerk. And I feel like, yeah, he's honest, and and because of because we're in esports, we have the ability to act like that and be, somehow still, involved in tournaments. Mm-hmm. What I really like is Smash Brothers commentators, because a lot of them are, they don't, they're not swearing a ton, but they're real. I feel like they're super real. They're super honest. And they're just fun to watch a lot of the time. So if you look at a Smash Brothers commentator, that's like one of the best things that you can have it compared to like a real sports commentator.
No, I hear a lot of people say that the Smash casters are really good, and it's just I think some of it is because that scene is in a really good spot right now. Like, some degree of all this stuff that we're doing, esports and a lot of other trends or things that get popular, follow that cycle, that kind of revolution cycle, where at the beginning, you're just excited that it's fucking happening. This is something that hasn't happened before. There's never been a $10,000 Smash tournament. Even though that's small in the context of video game tournaments, from the perspective of that community, it's awesome, and they're just happy that it's going on. They just want to participate and do anything they can to make it more awesome. And then, eventually things grow and more people get involved, and you realize how much money can be made, and shit goes south, and then that's just how things grow. But it's awesome that they're harnessing that energy, and I feel like they're getting the best of both worlds, because FGC traditionally has been so against any kind of sponsorship and money besides those big tournaments, and other esports has been a little more maybe too sellouty at times, and it feels like Smash could be that little nugget that gets right in the middle and gets the best of both sides.
Yeah, they're walking that fine line. The crazy thing is that for how amazing I think a lot of people think Smash is, the viewership's just not there yet.
Yeah.
For some reason, like, they'll get, unless it's like a big Evo tournament, like they're like, for Genesis, I don't even think they got that many. Maybe they had 20,000. I'm sure I'm wrong. I'm sure they have way more than that. But
Smash is one of those games where one of the bottlenecks is the technology to get it. Like, so think back to StarCraft. One of the reasons StarCraft in general was such a plentiful esport is because Brood War could run on almost any computer. It was really popular at a time when it wasn't really cutting edge technology. So in Korea, for example, where it was really popular and on TV, pretty much anybody with a PC could run StarCraft and look at replays or play around and get a feel for the game. Smash is not like that at all. You need a fucking GameCube. You need a game that they don't make anymore, and you have to get somewhere special or off eBay to do it right. You need a fucking CRT TV that are getting harder and harder to find. Controllers, like all that stuff isn't even made anymore, really. Like I guess there's becoming a market now where there's a resurgence of getting CRTs and that kind of stuff. But still, you have to go out of your way to get that. So adding new people to that scene is really difficult. Like, there are relatively high barriers of entry.
I think it's getting better. I think a lot of people are realizing that this is a great game, and people that have played it when they were younger really are getting into it. People that didn't play when they were younger are still getting into it. I think the documentary helped a lot as well, which I showed you at TI4.
You showed me part of it, at least. I remember watching, like, we were on episode 3 and just thinking, man, I did not know this scene was so fucking cool. Like, this is intense.
You and Dakota were really into that. I remember you guys watching.
Away. I was expecting it to be kind of shitty, and it was really
good. It's a great documentary. And for anybody that hasn't seen the documentary for Super Smash Brothers, man, it's called The Smash Brothers, and I highly, highly recommend it to anybody. And that really helps out. And it also helps the fact that you can play Smash on your computer by getting the Dolphin emulator. It's a GameCube emulator. You get and I'll show you right now. I have one of these right here. And you've seen this before. It's a little GameCube adapter. You just plug into it's got a USB on the other side, and then you have your controller, and you just plug the controller into the GameCube adapter. You plug that into your PC. You can play online Smash. It is laggy. It's not the real thing because it does have latency issues because it's not a CRT.
But it's still something. It's a way to, introduce new people to the game that didn't grow up with it, or just practice a little bit. Remember all the stuff that you've since forgotten, because it's been a while since that was a cutting edge system. We were what, like 7th grade, 6th grade?
Yeah, we were
something like that.
It was 2004, so I was 14. So yeah, right around that time.
Yeah, like middle school era. So, but yeah, the Smash community is pretty cool. I am a little bit sad at the timing of, like, when I left BTS. Basically the next big project they worked on after I left, aside from the summits, was the Smash Summit.
Smash Summit, right.
So I wasn't really a part of that planning and stuff. But when I talked to the guys at the Mafia Land, they all said it was awesome. Just, it was incredible to see so many people, like, even when they lost, like, eager to come on the couch and talk about stuff and cast and still participate. They're
all down to earth guys. I like Dota pros. I think there are a lot of cool Dota pros, but I feel like Smash pros are way cooler. And just, I think they're cool because I guess a lot of them are Americans, and they're way more down to earth, and we know, like, kind of, I don't know. I can't really explain it. I just think that Smash pros are a little bit more.
This does bring up a question that I've been curious about, and I want to know how you feel about it. Loser interviews, because that was a topic at this Super Bowl, where, what's his name? Is it Cam Newton? Is that the right word?
Yeah, Cam Newton. Yeah.
And he basically got up like halfway through the interviews. I actually didn't see the footage. I stopped watching at that point. But obviously team got wrecked. He didn't play particularly well. It's like, dude, cut him some slack. Like, halfway through, I think he just got up and left, right? Wasn't that most of it? And then people said he was a sore loser.
I mean, that's not being a sore loser. That's just a bunch of people being assholes and poking and prodding a man that's down.
That's what my roommate was like. Come on, cut him some slack. I feel like of all the times to be bummed, this is one of the most appropriate and understandable shit.
That's just the era we live in, though. That people will just, any news people are just trying to find that best story, and if they have to kick a man while he's down, they're going to do it just to, Yeah. That's just how it goes, sadly. But
I do think, though, that there is a middle ground. Like, I feel like it's common across most esports. Like, it was really prevalent in StarCraft 2. Like, people would never do interviews if they lost. Like, never, ever. And I think there is a middle ground. Like, just losing doesn't necessarily mean there aren't positive things you can say. Like, I think it can be really good for your image or PR just to do something really short and sweet. Like, there is a middle ground for the interviewers and stuff as well, and orgs to understand that it's a very sensitive area. But if you can provide an environment where, the interviewer is not going to ask a bunch of obnoxious questions, just 2 or 3 minutes to say, this is where we went wrong, we misjudged here. Fans love that shit. And it shows that you're, like, mature enough to handle that loss and internalize it and not just, be really emotional and want to break something, and it's cool. I don't know. I think there's just a lot of lost value there. If every player and basically every team says, no, we're never going to do a loser's interview because that's fucked up. It's like,
well, I agree. I feel like there's a time and a place, and I feel like there are certain people that are way better at it,
Yeah.
There are some
it's
people that are
definitely
way more
hard,
emotional.
and it's not something you can do after every tournament. But I think instantly discounting it is doing yourself a disservice.
I think for a
player.
smaller tournament, especially, even if it's a LAN, but if it's a smaller LAN and you interview the person after maybe if it's something like ESL New York, I think a lot of people should be fine with a
like
loser's interview.
PPD did that. They got destroyed in the first round, their first tournament after TI, and he came back and was casting on the panel at ESL New York for the finals. And it's like that alone just fans really love that. Like PPD is obviously a player that gets it with all of the vlogs that he's been doing, just the kind of content he's making, the occasional cast that he does. He's much more accessible than the average pro player in that regard. That just shows to me that he's a guy that really gets it, that it's not just about being a player, but it's about creating a brand and an image, and understands that fans really want this kind of content and no one else can give it to them. You or me making a vlog is interesting to some people and it's okay content, but it's not the same from a player like that. From that perspective is invaluable, and it's cool that he's tapping into it. I can appreciate and admire that.
Yeah, he went hard, I think, on his YouTube channel, and it's really cool that he's doing that because the cool thing is I could just watch him. Like I could take a YouTube video and see what he's doing with with one of his games, and that could teach me a lot too, which is really important. So he's done a great job there, and he's become a great content creator. So I
also like that he shows stuff at tournaments where he shows behind the scenes, and sometimes he's kind of honest when stuff is silly or stupid.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it's I think there's also a recognition that as a player, he can get away with that because most of the time it's stuff that is pretty ridiculous. So he can poke fun because he knows that he's there based on his skill, and as long as he's a top-tier player, the tournaments need him. Us as commentators don't quite have that same, we don't get hired for a gig at a tournament and then, tweet pictures of the cabling in the back because it's a total mess and the network's down. We just kind of have to pretend it's okay, and I don't really know what's going on. We'll be back in a minute. Okay, the producer says, okay, Soylent's coming. Sit tight, guys. You just gotta buy time. It's a completely different dynamic, and I appreciate that someone is fucking doing some of that honest work because a lot of the time we can't.
Right. I think he's done a great job, honestly. I don't know. I don't want to. I mean, it's not like I don't want to fluff his ego too much because he's already got.
No, I'm just, I think it's somewhat objective. Not many other players are making that kind of content.
Right, he's doing a great job. That's all I'm going to say.
It's cool stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I also feel like I would be good at doing loser interviews. I don't know why, but I think I'm just good at kind of handling people when they're a little bit like that in interviews and they don't really want to do it, but they realize it's a good opportunity and they're good. I think I could lob some softballs, but still get a couple decent questions in there. I
could see that.
I'm confident, Maud. I really want to try my hand at this, and nobody's giving me a chance.
You could, we're gonna have another tournament for us later on down the road. Maybe a LAN eventually, a year from now, and boom, you're in.
Because I'm used to losing, and I guess that's fair enough. I can empathize with losers. I always say that in high school, the kids the honors kids that never failed anything. I'm like, dude, at some point you got to learn how to handle failure a little bit. You're gonna fail at some point. And those are the people that go from what happened? Why did they start doing drugs? It's because they never learned how to fail. They never learned how to process it. They found a way to just push it off, and then, ooh, God, it's all bad. It's all very bad. Maturity, man.
I don't know.
Loser interviews.
Yeah, loser interviews.
When Moonduck gets to do a major, every loser's doing an interview.
Oh, God. I'm not sure how they're going to feel about that.
Dude, I really like the way DAC did it, though, where after teams won big games, there was an upset or whatever, the team went down, did a little press thing for 10 minutes where people could ask questions, and it was like a old-fashioned sports press, just after a game, and then that's it. So the players get it all over with in one big chunk. They're all there together. It's great for everybody. The fans get a little bit, the media gets a little bit, the players get a little bit of extra exposure, and it's not too much of an inconvenience. More tournaments should do that.
Well, I think loser interviews could be interesting, but I don't really have much to say about them, so
all right.
That's all I got, really.
All right, fair enough. I wasted a lot of time today just watching Snoop Dogg YouTube videos. I feel like that guy's really on to something. I watched him and Seth Rogen roll joints for 10 minutes, and I'm not going to lie, I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I watched an hour of just Snoop Dogg. Have you ever seen the videos of the Planet Earth, where he's just watching videos of animals, but he doesn't know what any of the animals are, and he's just oh, what is these animals? It's damn, are those mongooses? I never seen mongooses chase down a gator. And he's
definitely very entertaining.
Yeah,
for sure.
He's doing commentary over. I got on it because of that Reddit thread that's on the front page about Snoop doing a voice pack, And then I started watching his
yeah.
YouTube videos, and I think I'm in, man. I want to commission that. I want to enable Snoop to do this, and I don't know how.
I don't know, man. I feel like anybody that does an announcer pack that doesn't really know much about Dota kind of makes me a little sad because I can hear it.
Well, that's
And
what I
like,
mean. I want to interface with him and like get it right. I want to work with him on the lines.
there's
so that
no
it's
way
not,
Snoop is
it's
able
not
to
bad.
ever understand Dota. First of all, he's an older person,
Hey,
which
come
means
on.
that it's just not going to happen.
You just need to use football references. He coaches like pee-wee football, so
There's no reference for football in Dota that will ever really work. It's like, oh, he made a touchdown by killing like the enemy hero.
no. But don't you think that would be a good YouTube video? Like you trying to explain Dota to Snoop and him asking questions back, just like who that?
He
who
would
that
be
little
like, "What are you
lion-ass
talking
bitch?"
about? I'm never going to understand this."
man.
I mean, it would be funny. Don't get me wrong. I'm
Yo,
sure it'd be
Snoop is one
hilarious.
inquisitive motherfucker, man. You ever watch the GGN, the YouTube network that he's got? He's got all this gear. He's
No.
got fucking like sandals and vaporizers, all this like Snoop branded gear, and he's just toting it. It's like I have no words for what he does. It's just incredible. He does so little but so much at the same time, and I don't know how.
Yeah, I mean, Snoop is he's like he's a mystical person. Like I don't want to say mystical. I feel like because you never know what like he's just like he's a weird and cool dude that has this allure of just like he's Snoop. That's what everybody knows him by. Like he's Snoop Dogg.
Yeah,
And that's great.
Him do
but-
a Larry King interview, and he basically said that he was down to do anything that gets the Snoop brand out there a little bit more. So he's receptive to like all opportunities that could be to a new market. You know,
Oh,
like,
you have to tell him how big this game is then, and how many people would buy his shit.
dude, I'm gonna write him an email. You're like, Snoop, $15 million prize pool. We got $3 million in China coming up. Come on, dog, get me on there. I'll come on the GGN and tell you what's good.
What up? Let's do this. Shout out to the two fans who put me on this. That's what he said, and that.
Yeah, I could pretend to be one of those fans and be like, Snoop, listen, I've worked in the industry.
No, you should be like, I am an industry professional. I work at Dota 2. I can make this happen.
Like, Snoop, I'm a proud owner of an up and coming Dota 2 studio. Here's my resume. You know, hit him a business card. That would be the shit, man.
It could work.
That would.
All right.
I got to interface with his agent. All right, we got to make this happen. I mean, Han did it with Samuel L. Jackson. I feel like if they could pull that off, getting Snoop to do this one. Although that's different though, because that was made by the developer and sold by S2, and this is like a community-driven thing.
Yeah, but I mean, it could still work. The best things have been community-driven. The Rick and Morty announcer pack, Pure and Flax driven.
Wait,
so if he could do, yeah, I mean, Pure and Flax is the one that got them really to do that. I think.
No way. Seriously?
Well, he was the one that worked with them the most for damn sure.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Pure and Flax worked with them.
See, that's what I'm talking about. He was the fixer that explained Dota to them enough to make it happen. I want to be that to Snoop. That's what I want.
You can be that Snoop. I'm sure you can. You probably speak his language pretty well
Twitter,
too.
we need to make this happen. I could try. I lived in LA for a little while. Be like, Snoop, how about that drought?
Listen, you have enough Twitter followers, I think, that you can grab his attention
Is
one way or the
19,000
other.
enough? Snoop's probably got like 5 million.
It doesn't matter. Who cares? I think if he sees anybody above 20K, he can respect them for sure, or close to 20K.
Well, all right, that's the cutoff for respect. All right, I'll try to make it happen. I emailed Joe Rogan a few times. I'm like, dude, you got any more esports stuff? He had nothing. But I don't think
Joe Rogan interviewed Nothing.
Yeah, it was good,
CI.
but I don't think it was
loved
because
that. That
of
was a
my
great
emails.
interview. No, probably not. No,
I want to believe, but it definitely wasn't. No, that was really good. That was. Although the only part that made me sad was that Joe Rogan basically said, yeah, you know, like shooting games and stuff and getting into that. But once we start talking about spells and heroes and shit, that's where you fucking lose me, man.
I like Joe Rogan, but he's kind of he's
Yeah.
kind of an ignorant person from time to time, for sure.
A little
He's definitely
bit.
ignorant.
He's a little dense. He's and I mean I can respect that he's just like not into that kind of video game. It doesn't really fit his style. He just likes
I don't want to call him.
But,
I don't want to call him ignorant, but I feel like he's set in his old ways. I feel like ignorance more of a.
well,
I'm not trying to insult. I'm not trying to insult him. I feel like he's definitely.
no,
he likes
no.
things for a certain reason, and
It's
that's
fitting because like so if you think about his stance on the moon, right? Like there was a while where he was skeptical about us actually going to the moon, and over time he was just like, all right, this sounds more like bullshit. I'm starting to believe, and then finally he was like, all right, you know what? I've seen enough. I get it. But he's very like he's a little slow to catch up on the stuff. You know, he gets set in his ways and finally realizes, wait, fuck, this is stupid. I'm wrong. I need to learn more about this. That's what's cool about him.
I don't know. He's I like him a lot. I like Joe a lot, Joe Rogan a lot, but I just think that
I
he
like
would
you to
never
say it
touch.
like
He would never touch Joda unless he was like.
I don't think so. I
I
don't
don't
think
think he would ever
would.
touch it. Even like
He would be a
if he
league
was making
player.
fun of it on his show.
Yeah, I bet he would
Anyways,
play League. He'd be a Caitlyn player,
I don't know about that.
throwing that stupid fucking net around. Mon, isn't there a new Star Trek series coming out? Aren't they
There
making a new
is on
TV
CBS. On CBS, yes.
show? Did it start yet?
That's no. I don't know when it's coming out. It's probably a year from now, I think.
Oh, it's still that far off. Is
I
it
think
looking
so.
good? What's the prospect on this one?
Dude,
Because I'm nervous.
I listen. I know as much as you do. I know that there's a Star Trek series coming out on CBS. I want to look this up now that I'm interested in it. And you talked to me about Star Trek a lot, and
Debut
all right. Let me
2017,
just
you
say
were-
let me clarify something real quick. I am a huge The Next Generation fan. Well, maybe not even huge. I am a Next Generation fan. I've seen all of the episodes, but it's a long time since I've seen all of them, so I forget a lot of them. And I watched Voyager when I was a kid. You know, to a certain extent, I watched a lot of Voyager episodes. But other than that, I've seen maybe 1 to 2 episodes of TNG. I've seen no episodes of Enterprise. I've seen only Wrath of Khan as far as the original movie series is concerned. I've seen all of the Next Generation movies. My brother, however, is a huge Star Trek fan. He's trying to get me into this where you watch Star Trek from a chronological order view of things, which is you start out with Enterprise, you go to the Next Generation, and then you follow up with, I think, TNG and all the rest of the crap. So,
Wait, no, Kirk was before the Next Generation for sure.
right, that's what I said. I said Enterprise original series, and then
Then
Next
TNG.
Generation.
Okay,
Yes,
that's the order of it. Yeah.
or something like along those lines. Yeah.
So you said you've seen all of Enterprise?
No, I've seen all of the Next Generation.
Okay,
I have not seen any of Enterprise
You know,
whatsoever.
so okay, that's good. I am in a very similar boat. TNG is by far my favorite. I've watched a lot of Next Generation. Original series I've watched embarrassingly little of. It just feels too dated to me. Like I just
Right, it's very campy and yeah, it's
it's
dated
a
for sure.
little too cheesy. I can't get into it, and I don't like the way the Klingons are portrayed as much. The movies are really good. I've seen Wrath of Khan. It's still on my bucket list to watch all of the original series movies in order. They're a little hard to watch, but the later ones are actually quite good. Like the Christopher Lloyd one, there's a lot of
Yeah.
really good Klingon lore. There's a fuck ton of Klingon speaking, and there was a short period where I thought speaking Klingon was kind of cool. So I like I like that there's a lot of real Star Trek like hardcore lore in those movies. I've seen a little bit of Voyager. I've seen all of Enterprise, which is surprisingly good. I watched the first season a long time ago. Really didn't like it because the main character is very douchey and that kind of classic human thing. Like it's all about, oh, you fucking Vulcans. Yeah, you're telling us we're not ready. We're humans. We're fucking ready. Lo and behold, they're not fucking ready at all.
Right.
And they're constantly like dealing with politics from the Vulcans. It gets really good though. And once you get into season 3, you get really disappointed that the show gets canceled because there were a lot of cool budding storylines that just never happens because they
Yeah,
cancel it after
I
season
can't handle
4.
that. I can't handle like
Yeah.
Firefly was only one season. I couldn't even handle that much. Like it was rough. It was
I don't
crushing.
like
I think.
Firefly, though. I'm not about that.
I liked Firefly. I liked it. I saw the appeal. I wasn't a huge fan of it like everybody else is, but I liked it. So
Yeah.
something to say about that.
It was just presented to me wrong. I thought about Firefly a lot because it was such an unpopular opinion. There are very few things where I'm just completely against the grain and I'm wholeheartedly like the Beatles. I'm not into it. I just don't get it. I'm never ever going to be one of those people that just sits down and says, man, I need some more John Lennon in my life right now. Like it just doesn't register on my radar. And Firefly was the exact same, but I think it's because I was thinking of it as real science fiction. And it's not. It's just like a weird space.
It's like a western. It's a space
Western
western.
drama. Yeah, it's
A space western that's not even as good as Cowboy Bebop. Sadly,
yeah,
Cowboy Bebop is way better.
It's
as
a
space
bullshit Western type movie, and I don't like those in any setting. And the fact that it's in space just bugs me. I can't stand horses and projectiles in space. It's just like, it's like taking two things that you like individually and putting them together and being like, fuck, this is terrible. You know, like
Right.
peanut butter and anchovies. What happened to your camera, Mott?
Oh, is it gone?
It just disappeared.
Oh, it might have crashed. Hold on, give me a second, okay?
No problem.
We can keep talking. I'm gonna try to fix it though.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, hold on. I don't know. I think I like Firefly not enough that like I know a ton of people that are really super into the show, but Star Trek I like a lot. I'm not sure if I just have the there's so many shows I want to watch. There's so many movies I want to watch that it's just like to watch another series of Star Trek, the new one or Enterprise. I feel like I got through. I tried to get into the first season of Deep Space Nine, which I know you like a lot. I think. Or
I've
somebody
seen
said that.
some Deep Space Nine. It's not. I think Greg really likes DS9. I think he's
That's
the one.
is really Greg?
I think so
I
because I remember
guess.
he was telling me he likes Odo a lot, and he really likes that other really lame character on that one. Like it's okay. I like O'Brien, but I feel like DS9 is a little too into the like the co-inhabited. Oh, what kind of drama is going on with the Ferengis? Like I get tired of Quark and that Ferengi bullshit. It's kind of like the
Yeah, I
dwarves.
that was the one reason I didn't really get into it. I feel like
Yeah.
I don't care about Frankies at all that
It,
much. They're a bunch of assholes.
yeah.
You're not supposed to like them, but even that, I'm just like, well, I don't care that you're making these people more
It's
interesting. I'm like, I don't,
It's
whatever. Who
not my
cares?
jam. Definitely not. Enterprise is really good though. I think the series has a surprising amount of character development, like on par with TNG. Like they really did the series justice in that regard. And in the later seasons, they get into some really cool. They do 2 episodes where it's like they're in an alternate universe, but you
Okay.
don't really know. Like the way they tell you is that the intro is inverted because the intro to the show is sort of like a human history thing, like, oh,
Oh yeah,
technology.
I remember the intro. Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
what you're
so
talking
this
about.
intro, it's like a dark version. It's something like where like the Nazis won World War II, and then it
Oh
like fast
god.
forward to what it's like in that time. So like the characters there, but everything's very different. And the way it's presented is just really neat. How it kind of breaks that barrier. How the intro's different, and that's how you know it's not like the show starts and everything's different, and then the intro breaks out. Maybe it is like that, but it just. I remember thinking it was really cool. It was a really neat way to portray that aspect of Star Trek, like the parallel universe kind of string theory bullshit.
Right.
They did some cool shit with the show. It's worth a watch, but you have to know that you're gonna be left just going,
That's
no,
annoying to me.
give me
That
more.
might be
So
the deal
maybe you
breaker.
should not watch it.
I don't know. I probably will end up watching it, but that might be the deal breaker for me. I have to
Yeah,
decide still.
yeah. Klingon is pretty cool though. I have to admit, it's I like I like that they made it a real language. Like there's
Yeah.
structure. They hired a linguist. That is some next level nerdy shit. Though I was watching TNG yesterday, and it's starting to feel more dated.
Right.
I'm
Well, I
starting to
mean,
get that feeling when I watch it. Partially because it's in that 4:3 resolution and it's relatively low quality on Netflix, but still, I'm starting to feel that vibe. Like, all right, Riker, your tricks are getting old.
maybe it's just because you watch too much. I haven't had
That's
that.
true. I've
I
seen it
haven't
a
had
lot
that
of times.
feeling. Yeah, I don't think I will get that feeling unless I watch it a lot, which I
Now,
probably
have you seen
won't.
the Blu-ray versions?
No, I have not.
So there's
I
I
heard they're
forget what
good
it's
though.
called. Is it live events or God? There's some specific name for it. It's like that thing where it's in movie theaters for live stuff or things
Oh,
that
live
only happen
screening,
once.
something like that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like they do concerts and stuff, but they also do special releases. So there have been a few for Star Trek where they've gone through with TNG and they've re-released all of the seasons in box set, but they've gone through and they have all the original footage in HD, but the effects are what's in low quality. So
Yeah, that would make it seem more dated. I feel like it
yeah.
might just be better to watch it. Do you watch that in Blu-ray whenever you're watching, or do you watch in
So
4:3?
no. So this is the new thing. It's not even on Netflix yet. I'm not sure if they've done all of it, but they've gone through and they redo all of the animations, like any phaser, any teleporting, any of that stuff, like the crystalline entity and that shit. And every time they finish a season, they do a thing in the movie theaters, like one day, where at 8 o'clock in like 30 theaters, you go and you watch 2 or 3 episodes
I've seen
from
the
that season
I haven't
in
went to the
HD.
movie theater, but I've seen trailers for that
Okay.
from my movie
I've
theater.
gone to
So
2 of them, and it's really cool watching Star Trek on the big screen, and it looks really. It's awesome how good it looks. The way they've redone it, it's really incredible. It's almost it's almost worth buying them on Blu-ray. It's probably not, but it looks really sick. And I feel like if they get that on Netflix, I'm doing it again. Full run through. I'm in. I'm gonna commit to it. Come on,
they
Netflix.
have I have it right here. It says Star Trek: The Next Generation complete seasons 41 disc box set, Blu-ray, from the United Kingdom apparently.
The redone. Yeah, it's really new. They just did this thing where they redid all of the episodes. It's good shit, man. It's really good shit.
They have the original series 1 through 3 Blu-ray as well, but this is, yeah, I'm interested. I don't like to torrent stuff, but I might actually torrent. That would take forever though. But like, I don't want to have the money to pay for that type of box set,
Oh
but I
yeah,
want to
it's
watch
really
it.
expensive.
Yeah.
You ever play the Star Trek MMO?
No.
I remember when it came out, I was playing the beta and it was okay-ish, but I just can't get into those kind of games. Like I play World of Warcraft, it's fun, but I can't get into those kind of spacey MMO type games. I don't know why. They always seem like they're going to be fun. The prospect of exploring new planets is cool, but again, like the 3D space fighting, like, oh, PvP with your spaceship. It's like, this is dumb. This is stupid. Yeah. I remember watching videos of it just thinking, man, no one cares about this, and I understand why.
That's like the bane of every MMO's existence. There's like always a really cool MMO with a lot of cool concepts, and it's just like, man, one thing's it's either the combat that's just shit or just like every other aspect of it, Yeah. Anyways, I was never really interested in the Star Trek MMO because I knew like nothing is really going to be wow. Maybe Blade and Soul has that chance to do it. I've heard a lot of good things about Blade and Soul, but
it's anime-y though, right? Isn't it?
Right. It is. Well, it's Korean, but it does have that anime feel for sure. And the characters just look so they look Korean. Like all the women have like pretty much powder faces because all the women are really into makeup over in Korea, and all the I don't know. I would prefer if it was more anime oriented because I can respect Japanese anime type stuff, but Korean stuff I'm not interested in.
What do you mean? There are titties all over the place. Look at this shit.
Blade and Soul? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not playing this game. This is not my jam.
I don't know. Korean stuff sometimes bothers me, I think.
Well, it doesn't bother me, but it's supposed to be fun. Like I've heard it's a good game, but
I have a lot of Korean friends, but they have like, and even my Korean friends are just like, yeah, we have a really strange culture. I'm like, yeah, you do. This is coming from somebody that really enjoys Japanese culture, but
no, it is.
And that's
it's a vain culture. There's a lot of it's not a joke. There's a lot of plastic surgery joints in Seoul. Like the joke is at every corner there's another one.
I feel like Japan is like the complete opposite, honestly. They just don't care about like looks or sex or anything.
Yeah.
Like they're not into that. They're
Japan's
more into like
in
work
a funky
and honor.
place, man. They're having issues with their culture. I think what they have like
they're
the
not
baby
making
boomer
babies.
thing.
They're not making babies.
They're going to have a lot of old people, and they're not making babies. They have a lot of young people that are like protesting the work culture and stuff.
Right. Well, that's what it should be because there's nobody's. I think a lot of the guys have that like typical. There's so many animes about guys that are just like they don't. It's not like they don't give a damn, but they're all shy or something like that. There's a bunch of neats out there, and I feel like a lot of the guys that's the way it is. Or girls are more concerned about. There was a show, I think it was a Vice show, about how there's sex trade in Japan. That's like you can pay to hang out with guys and ladies, and it's like that's really popular. But
what?
So that's what people do instead of like having a girlfriend and going out and just getting laid and stuff like that. They just they do weird shit with like girls and guys all over the night. Like it's really I'm gonna try to find this because I think you'll be interested in this.
Yeah, that sounds pretty fun. I don't know. I've always wanted to go to Japan.
Me too. I would love to go to Japan. The Japanese love industry Vice. Here we go. This is the one. And
I just showed my roommate Vice the other day, and it blew his mind. He was like, "Oh my god, this show is awesome." Like,
Vice is great. Vice is really good.
Got a website too, bro.
This is one of the first videos I saw from Vice, I believe. Yeah, here it is. Japan is a country that is dying, literally. Japan has more people over age 65 and the smallest number of people under the age of 15 in the world. That's, like, ridiculous to me.
Wow.
But
I knew it was, they were having issues like that with their population split. I didn't know it was that insane.
It's pretty nuts, man.
I didn't know it was #1 in the world.
Dude, we should go to, like, when Mooduk starts making the big bucks, let's go to Japan.
All right. Company trip, bonding vacation to Japan. We're gonna go.
I talked to Nikki about it. She's been there, and she's like, "Yeah, you guys go to Japan."
I really wish I feel like I can appreciate anime and some of the stories. Like I watched Steins Gate and liked it. I just hate reading subtitles. Like I started watching Narcos on Netflix. It's the same thing. It's all in Spanish, and you have to read subtitles to understand what's happening. And I just
I just hate it. I can understand why you don't like it because it does take away from actually watching the show.
Yeah.
There are some good. I've told you this before. There are some very good dub shows of there. Like a lot of people are talking about, about anime, and they're like, man, the dubs are terrible. Dub overs. Mm-hmm. But that's not the case. One thing I told you to watch, and one thing I will continue to tell, and I've told this to everybody that is at least slightly interested in anime, is to watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and watch the English dub version of it because it's actually an okay English dub, and this show is amazing. So. I'll keep on saying that.
All right. I might actually have to do it.
Well, hold on. There's 2 Full Metal Alchemists. There's Full Metal Alchemist and there's Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. You have to watch the Brotherhood one. The other one sucks.
Brotherhood's where it's at.
Yes. Anyways, that's enough about. I'm sure people are not super interested in
Anime.
Japan anime.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sure they are, Maut. I'm sure they are. I don't have anything else though, man. That was all my talking points. It's been like an hour-ish, something like that. So, you got anything else, man? Anything else grinding your gears, Maut? You want to get off your chest?
Actually, not really. I wanted to talk to you about what I should bring on the plane tomorrow, like what
Oh,
I should get and what I. It's already kind of too late.
I'm bringing a microphone. Bringing some shirts. I gotta put my clothes.
No,
in
I
the
mean like
dryer.
what I should do on the plane to stave off boredom for 5 hours.
Oh, I usually sleep. Well, okay. So this is what I do. I put on music, and then I read a little bit, and by a little bit, usually like 5 to 10 pages on my tablet, which is not a lot. And then at that point, I'm kind of like, wow, I'm surprisingly tired. And then I stop reading and sit there and listen to music for usually like a whole album or so, and just contemplate all the things that never were and ought to be. And then I usually get sleepy enough to kind of pass out. They pass out some drinks. I have a nice water. If there's a TV, I catch some shitty movie that's on there.
Yeah.
If not, I just kind of sit there and zone out. Although I have a 6:45 a.m. flight tomorrow. That's when mine leaves.
Mine's at 6, so yeah. I mean,
So I don't know. I can't sleep
How
on
much
the
is
plane
sleep?
at that hour.
Oh,
Maybe
you
I
can't?
Well, I could stay up all night. I don't want to like
Right.
really fuck my schedule.
that's the thing. I usually say like in almost every circumstances when I have an early flight, I almost always stay up all night. But I
Yeah.
feel like tonight I'm not going to be able to do that because I woke up pretty early today, all things considered.
I woke up
So-
early today too, so I don't know. I'm just gonna bring my tablet and read, and then maybe watch Thank You for Smoking. Movies on my tablet.
It's a great movie.
It's a good movie.
Great
Also,
movie,
I've
yeah.
got Moonrise Kingdom, or Sunrise Kingdom, Moonshine.
Moonrise
Kingdom.
Kingdom.
Well, yeah,
The
that one.
Wes Anderson movie, yeah.
Yeah, it's good, but I don't know if I really need to watch it again. You know,
All right, well, I've got some ideas now. I'm probably just going to play my 3DS as well. There's a good
yeah,
chance that
I'm pretty
happens.
boring on planes, man. I really enjoy the aspect of airplanes.
You like
that-
talking to people?
No, not usually.
Unless they're a pretty girl.
I've been trying to get better at talking to people that seem like pretty girls next to me, you know. And I did when I was flying to the Mafia land. Actually, that was pretty cool.
You told me the story. You're like, oh, you talked to her,
Yeah.
and she's like, oh, I have a boyfriend. You're like, oh, shit. Or she
No,
mentioned
well,
it in
that was only
conversation.
part of it. There was this really weird. I was sitting in the middle seat. She was sitting in the aisle seat, and the window was empty. And in front of us, this lady was sitting in the window. And very early on in the flight, she yelled at the guy next to her and said, "Get your fucking hands off me," or something. Like, really, she was cursing at him.
Okay.
And we were
I
just
heard.
like,
Oh, I
whoa.
remember this. You told me the story. Yeah.
Yeah,
Keep
so the
going
flight
anyways.
attendant came over, and the lady said something about like that he was touching her or something. So the lady said okay, and asked if she could sit in the window seat. So we had to get up. The lady got in, whatever. And then as she was getting up, the guy said something else to her, and they were having an exchange. It was really intense. I forget exactly what they said. So everything's going on like normal. Maybe 10 minutes later, we're all settled in, reading our books. The flight attendant comes back and says, "Oh man, we found a seat in first class for you. We're just gonna move you up there." So we're like, okay. So she gets out of the window seat. We have to get up again, and she goes back. And then the waitress comes and says, the flight attendant comes out. It's just like, "Oh, thank you so much. I'm so sorry, whatever." So she gives us some free drinks and some free alcohol. So after that, I'm just like, oh, this is an awkward flight. And I'm looking at the girl, and she's looking at me, and I'm just like, man, I've never seen anything like that before. And she's like, oh, me neither. And then we started talking, and it was quite nice.
Listen, man, that flight
she
attendant,
dropped
that flight attendant actually like wingman the shit out of you. I feel like.
A little bit, yeah. But
But it turns out she
said
had
she
a
was flying
boyfriend.
into Ontario because that's where her boyfriend's family lived. This was right around Christmas, don't forget. So it was like
Yeah.
the day after Christmas. So
Man, you were in.
this
You
is
were
close.
in.
She's
You
very
were
cute
in.
too, very attractive. But
That sucks.
at least I talked to somebody. That's a good step. The other day I was gonna go to a meetup in Philly. There are these like computer programming meetups. There's a lot of tech meetups in Philly. This one was
Right.
called Wine and Code. Okay.
Oh God.
And it sounds kind of lame. And I was like, I just need an excuse to get out of the house. It's fun to go into the city. I live right next to the train station, whatever. I get all dressed up. I go into the city. And on the train ride there, for some reason, I just started getting really like self-conscious about the clothes I was wearing. Like, I bought these new shoes that are like these high tops that are like, they're kind of cool, but they're also kind of weird. And I was wearing leggings, and I was just like, man, I don't know any of these people there. What if they think I'm really weird because I'm wearing leggings? For the first time in a long time, I got self-conscious for wearing leggings. So I ditched the wine and code and just walked around the city for 45 minutes and then ate tacos and went home. It still felt good to stretch my legs, but that was a scenario where I didn't talk to people, and I felt a little weird about it. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
that's when you don't when you actually like are going to an event or going to something
then
and
you
you don't
dodge.
talk. Yeah, it's just like it's the worst feeling sometimes, man.
I was just so when I was talking about going, I was thinking to myself, I usually go with a friend and then I never talk to anybody else because I have that one person I know. I'm going to go by myself and force myself to talk to people. That's the right thing to do here. I said that to one of my friends who has a degree in computer science, and he was just like, before I said anything, I just said, there's a wine and code. He's like, that sounds like fun. You should probably take a friend so you don't get stuck by yourself without anybody to talk to. And I was like, shit, you preemptively completely shut down my plan, and now I'm super self-conscious about it, and it psyched me out. I couldn't shake it. I was like, fuck. I'm going to be stuck there by myself with nobody to talk to and not know what to do and then just leave awkwardly. I'm not going. Fuck it. I'm pulling the plug. I'm just going to go walk around Philly instead.
Man, events like that are fucking...
Fuck meetups, dude. Fuck that general networking. Just like, hi, I'm trying to learn how to use WordPress. I've heard that WordPress is one of the best ways to make websites. Do you know how to use WordPress? That's the kind of shit that, in the description, it was like, well, have a glass of wine and beginners can talk about code and maybe collaborate on projects. Like, fuck, I don't want to collaborate with any of them. I'm going to prejudge them here. I didn't even see their fucking faces, but why did I think that was going to be fun?
Thank God for LANs and stuff like that, because at least we could just like hang out and play Dota or just like chill and relax and like meet people, like not be. And it's different meetup. Anyways, yeah, that's all I had, man. I mean, I don't have any stories. Your stories were pretty good.
Now it's just a habit. I feel like story time just comes out at the end of podcasts now. That was 2 sets of stories, but
that's it, man.
It was a weird experience, totally dodging on a social engagement and then getting lost in the city. It
does sound kind of like fun.
I like walking though. It feels good to just walk around.
Anyways.
All right, that's it, Mont. That's all we got. I got to go pack, and then we're getting on airplanes tomorrow morning. We'll be in Phoenix. Captain's Draft 3 will continue, and it comes back on the 12th, so we only have one day off. There's no tiebreakers, so it works out well. We actually are off tomorrow and get settled in. Red Roof in, here we come, right, Mont?
Woo!
Woohoo! Party on. So, all right, guys, thank you for watching. It's the first Zyori podcast in a while. Follow Mont at Dota, or at Maut Dota.
Right.
At Dota. That would be a
at
sick Twitter
Dota
handle. At Maut Dota on Twitter, at ZyoriTV, all that good shit, guys. We'll see you next time. Yeah.